زملاء, dear friends, colleague, neighbors, brothers and sisters, wherever you are, whenever you are, I greet you with all the greetings that you like to have. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, bonjour, bonsoir, saida, assalamu alaikum. And I wish for all of you a safe and prosperous life. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Today we are going to discuss episode 37, Fadfadah 5 to 5, talking about a new subject, which is social, civil clippings and shreds. What does it mean? I'll explain it to you later on. First of all, let me thank my colleague, Aya Abu Zainab, for preparing the slideshow. And let us go to the talk. This talk will be made out of 8 parts. 8 parts. As you can see, the index or the contents. If any one of you would like to see the slideshow on Zoom, the link is there. You can join through the link, but it is also on Instagram and Facebook, my page in Facebook. The 8 topics that I'm going to talk about today are introduction, what do you mean by humanitarian work, societal definitions of my own, message to the young people to learn from it, what do you mean by public diplomacy, what do you mean by social and political awareness pyramid, what do you mean by the fundamentals of a great state or the foundation or the principles, and what do you mean by my message to the young people. These 8 pieces I'm going to talk about. I have been looking at my old writings, my own writing, which I want each and every one of you to write his or her own writing. Not to always keep reading writings of others. Your own writing, your own philosophy, your own idea, your own culture. When I looked back at them, I revisited these pieces. That's why I call it shreddings or clippings from the past. In my introduction today, I have to say one thing, which I'm very proud of it. I am very proud of being a Muslim. Finished. Don't talk about Islamophobia. Don't talk about extremism, counter-extremism, radicalism, and everything. I am an individual who is very proud of being a Muslim. In the middle of this cloudy, misty, difficult atmosphere that we are facing nowadays. I take you back to one of the journeys in 2006 when I was attending a high-level meeting in Geneva with high-level people from the United Nations. I felt from the way the discussion was going on that actually there was like people, members of this group were trying to connect Islam to terrorism. I was wearing my Shirwani, and the Asian brother will know what Shirwani means. It's the official traditional Asian dress for India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. I had a longer beard than this one. I'm dark, as you know, and I took the microphone in a very angry way because I felt that there's a coded message of a relationship between Islam and terrorism. I took the microphone in my angry mood and I said, don't ever associate Islam to terrorism. Islam is and was and will be the religion which came to save humanity. And it did, from the corruption, from the injustice of other systems and regimes on earth. Islam has created 4 civilizations from 4 or 5 different parts of the globe, from Damascus in Syria, from Baghdad and Kufa and Basra in Iraq, from Istanbul in Turkey, and from Cordoba, Granada in Andalusia. This is Islam. a religion which created civilization, and the civilization being created by the local Muslims of the local community. Today, we need not to prove to what's called, they call themselves civilized world, that there is no relationship between terrorism and Islam. Islam is an eternal religion, and no power can uproot it. Be sure of that. Islam is the religion of justice, rights, freedom, equality, civilization, and renaissance. This is my introduction to you, young people. That's why I want each and every one of you to write his or her own writing and stop listening to others, maybe learn from others, but the time now has come that you keep writing, you keep developing your own ideas and thoughts and sell it and send it to other people. The second point, we talk about it, what do you mean by humanitarian work or social or charitable work? It means for me like a movement or action or work which does not make any distinction between people on political, social, racial, theological, ideological, intellectual, ethnic backgrounds. No distinction. We are all equal before the humanitarian work. It's all inclusive, leaves no one behind. This was a slogan said or mentioned in World Humanitarian Summit 2016 in Istanbul, which was organized by United Nations. The duty of those like you and myself as humanitarian and social workers is to keep their personal opinion for themselves. Why? Because if we start to express our personal opinion, we can divide community, can fragment community, we can disperse the community, which is wrong. Don't express it, because it makes them public. If you make them public, they will be behind the creation of social divide, fragmentation, displacement, which could lead to the instigation of conflicts. The duty of the social, humanitarian, and charitable worker is to do the following: social cohesion, not division; enlightening, not blinding; and directing, not misleading. This is your role as humanitarian social workers. Create social cohesion, not division; enlightening, not blinding; directing, not misleading. For you, social worker and humanitarian worker, we have to change our anger into positive, constructive social energies. Positive, constructing social energies benefiting every citizen, building and strengthening the social infrastructure, and uniting the direction of the impacting social flow. Our social flow should be impacting the community, that will enable societies to create a prosperous future for generations to come. You change your energy to that. Quite often, when conflicts happen, the society will become divided into two or more groups. The first will be confronting, and the second might be non-confrontational. Let us discuss the non-confrontational one. Could be divided into three groups. First, be scared of opening their mouth. Second, no opinion, having no opinion.
Hello, doctor.
Third, trying to play a reconciliatory role. Work hard for reconciliation. Three, I advise you, social, humanitarian, and charitable workers, to support the third group. To succeed in it is a reconciliatory effort. This is what I suggest that you can do. Support the third group. The third point on my discussion table today with you, some definition, which I wrote, which I encourage. Please, I encourage you, from your thoughts, from your idea, from your culture, from your experience, from your belief, to start writing what you believe in and Send it to others to let them to believe in what you write. The third point is some definition about civility, civilness, and civil society, and civil individual or civil servant and others. Civil citizen and civilians is a person who is not active in military, security, intelligence, or investigation, or even in fire brigade. Those are the civilian or the civil citizen.
Doctor, hello.
Can you please mute Sister Aya?
Oh, I sincerely apologize. I didn't know.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, no problem, doctor. Anytime.
But individuals who are working at national security, detectives, and intelligence are not civilians, as well as the military. Civilness, which is madaniya in Arabic language, is the civil life created by civilians. Its civilness is philosophy, culture, progress, renaissance, created by the civilians and created by the civil life civilians are making. Civil servants is every employee working for government or non-government organization or department and not working in security, military, naval forces, and intelligence. Civil society is the civilian society made out of civilians that is governed by civilians. The role of the police forces is to protect the civilians and maintain safety and security, while the military forces' role is to protect borders of the country, and both forces should work under civilian governments. This is the civil society. The civil organization is all organization which is not connected to the military or to the intelligence or to security in the country, such as government and government organization, churches, temples, mosques. I put churches, temples, and mosques in the civil society organization because some people and some groups trying to sideline the role of these organizations. But I consider them civil society organizations. The only which is not civil society organization is organization run by military, by security, by intelligence. Civil governance, it is a civilian governing their society, civilian governing their society, because that's why I call it civil, or nation or country, through civil organization, institution, or government. Civil government is a government which is made out of civil ministers, including defense and security. Sometimes, as we see in UK or in America, people who are run the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Interior or the Homeland Security are not security and not actually military personnel. Civil law is a law established, discussed, and written by expert, specialized civilians to serve a sector or a profession or a group or a skill. Civil constitution is created by national civil constitutional expert to serve all citizens and national sector sectoral services. This is what, when we start talking about actually, when we start talking about civilness, civil citizen, civil workers, civil organization, and civil society, and others, to try to take it away from the military, the security, and the other things. Unfortunately, again, the internet is playing game with me, and have to start it again and go. Here we are for the Facebook.
Doctor, I have a question.
Not now, please. Please, when I finish. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay, I understand.
Yeah. This let the young people learn that, first of all, revolution is not a chaos or demonstration. Initiative is not an aim. Society building is not a talk show. The nation is not a private club for a family, political party, religious groups, elite group, think tank, theological school of thought, and others. This is to let, because I have been communicating with many young people before the Arab Spring and after the Arab Spring. Say it again, revolution is not a demonstration or a chaos. Initiative is not an aim. Society building is not a talk show. Nation is not a private club. I said it again. Let the young people learn. First of all, don't rely on your physical power. Don't be misled by the speed of your initiatives, but wait to see the end result of your programs. Don't follow blindly the political leaders' initiatives and invitations that polarize your opinions and shatter your unity. Don't be misled by media attractions, the government leaders' leftover financial allowance and tips. And don't follow organizations that can only see the nation through their organization point of view. Number six, don't forget what? Your country's history, your role models, your civilization and culture, your religious values, your moral manners. All these to the young people. Don't rush to pick up the non-ripe fruits. Even insects only eat the ripe ones. Remember that your objective is to build the country, and your aim is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't forget that your life is the farmyard of the life to come. Plant your farm with the best of your fruitful trees. You are compelled to write, classify, analyze, and archive what you do. This is very important for me, to all of you young people. We must keep writing. We must keep archiving. We must keep analyzing. We must keep programming. We must keep organizing our thoughts and documenting it. Complementarity is the solution for our problems, definitely, with other people in the society. Building partnership and creating coalition are compelling duties on every citizen. They are not luxurious culture or ideological discussion. Give yourselves an ample time to think. Give yourself an ample time to think, reflect, monitor, and review what you do. Very important to take a deep breath and think what's next to be done. Learn from others' experience. The principles of society building, of building a successful society, are patience, perseverance, commitment, and belief. The principle of building successful society are patience, perseverance, commitment, and belief. Number 16, our society must accommodate every citizen. No marginalization or alienation to any citizen. Our social jurisprudence must be flexible and having different accommodating capacity to deal with various and timely social problems. So should not have any ceiling, should not have any ceiling, should not have any ceiling. The character of the religious individuals amongst us must be unite, not divide the community. Listen more than speaking, benefiting others and have no benefit, spending their effort and money on the community, always support justice and adopt rights-based approach, be humble and show humility, be an easygoing and receptive. This is the character of those so-called themselves religious leaders. We have to do that if we want to establish social justice, freedom, and provide the good living standard for every citizen in our country. This is point number 3. Point number 4 is public diplomacy. What do you mean by public diplomacy? Definition: it's a non-governmental, spontaneous, voluntary movement of different individuals, groups, non-government organizations, community leaders, and figureheads towards an issue that we are suffering from, like unemployment, like water, like climate change, like desertification, like deforestation, like maybe all this kind of problems that facing the country. This is the issue. What is the vision of public diplomacy? Building public coalition between different national groups and their counterparts in this country and in different countries. What is the objective? Winning the support of different public, national, international, and governmental groups in the same country or in other countries to support their aims and objectives. What is the mission of the public diplomacy? To raising social, political, humanitarian, legal, and human rights awareness. Social, political, humanitarian, legal, and human rights awareness amongst different denominations globally. Where we get the funding from? From group members, non-government organization, union, syndicates, local businessmen. What is the parameter in terms of reference for the working of this public diplomacy? Neutrality, independence, transparency, complementarity, networking, and the communication with their counterparts in their own country or in a different country. What is the risk? Is politicization. When a government come and hijack your public diplomacy. These are the definitions of public diplomacy which I wrote, which I encourage you to put different definition. Could be far more better than what I am writing. My dream is, young people, that each and every one of you will be able to express his or her opinion and convince other nations, other culture, other people have different philosophy of thinking to follow your ideas, to follow your track, to follow your flow. This is my dream for you, to keep writing and letting people to follow you. What do you mean by social and political pyramids or awareness pyramids? I hold the pyramid in my hand. You know this pyramid I'm holding at the base, which you can see it here, and has a summit or a peak, which you can see it there. And the social awareness pyramid goes from stage A, keep rising, keep rising, keep rising till it reaches the summit. This is what I'm going to discuss with you now. Look at the pyramid again. This is the base, this is the summit or the peak. Okay? The sum principle for this social, political, and political awareness pyramid, the awareness level will rise according to the social needs. If the level of needs inside the community or society or a country is high because of poverty, because of corruption, because of all injustice, so the social and political awareness pyramid will be rising. Mean rising, it goes from the top elite people to the lower individuals, such as children in the school, in primary and secondary school, because each one of them needs to have his or her right. The awareness level will rise according to the social needs of the society and decreases according to the high income, because sometimes the income could be deceiving. Citizens could be said, okay, let us relax, I have no problem. And they forget about injustice in their own country and the corruption. And decreases according to high income of the citizens, and particularly in richer and smaller countries. In the case of the Arab Spring, which most of you have heard about it, countries, the Arab Spring countries, their citizens are like the giant, like a genie, who came out from these long-necked bottles. Khalas, came out, released. Okay? And no regime or no power will put them back in this long-necked bottle again. But instead, my advice to the governments is to expand the freedom space for them to accommodate all citizens of the society, because they will not go back to this long-necked bottle again. What is the danger? Let me advise the government in this. The danger is the unawareness of the ruling government of what? Of the dimensions of social and political awareness of their own citizens. If they don't realize that, it will be another revolution. Say it again. What is the danger? The danger is lying in the unawareness of the ruling governments of the dimension of the social and political awareness that their citizens have reached. The social awareness pyramid, as you can see it in my hand now, has a baseline, which is this one, and has a peak, as I mentioned. Let us go from bottom to the top. The people at the base are the thinkers, are the theologians, are the change makers. So we'll go step by step till we reach the most ignorant inside the society. The base one here are the specialized independent national social scholar. I said there's social scholar, there's social jurisprudence, and there's religious scholars and religious jurisprudence. But when I'm talking here, the base foundation here is for the social scholars, like you. Number two, up, independent political scholars and effective independent political parties, this here. Number three, up, independent civil society organizations, rising, state religious institution, independent religious scholars, and non-government independent faith-based organization. Keep rising. The more you rise, the more you lead people who are less than the people at the baseline. The state and the independent media institution. Number six, up, rising, universities, digital universities and the higher educational and technical institution, academics and others. goes to the universities, to the students. From the universities goes up and to the factories and the companies, to the workers there. Number 8, retired government people and the other civil workers. Keep reaching those masses of people. The more you reach, the more you have an effective pyramid. It goes to the taxi drivers, to the bus driver, to the coach driver, to the truck driver, and all these sorts of people. It goes to the market, to the workshops, to the corner shops, to the grocery shops, to the kiosk. They'll be aware of what's happening in the country and in the society. It goes to the housewife who is sitting at home to be aware of what's happening around her and the relatives. It goes up and down to the secondary school. We reach the secondary school student to become aware of the injustice, of the corruption of the government in the country. It goes also to the manual laborer, tea maker, sandwich, sweet and vegetable salesmen and women. Become aware. This is the awareness pyramid. The awareness pyramid. It goes to the preparatory and primary school pupils. Then it goes to the thugs and the criminal ringleaders, and it goes to street children. See how the pyramid of social awareness goes from the thinker to the street children. And this is what we need to make to raise the level of awareness amongst our own society. Going back to the young people again, we should work hard to raise awareness amongst every citizen in the country. The main purpose of the mission of the prophets and messengers was actually to raise the awareness of people and stand up for their own rights. And by the way, prophets and messengers of Allah are civilians. Don't ever remove them from the civil society or from the civilness or from the civility and say this is actually religious people guided by Allah. Keep them away from the normal affair of life. My view is, if I talk about Islam, Islam is like an axis. See this one? Or a pillar, where life will be spinning around this axis. Cannot, it's my own belief, you cannot sideline religious institutions such as mosques, churches, synagogues, and temples. They are part of civil society. You cannot take the messengers of God and the prophets of God from the civil society. They are part of it. This is where we talk about the social pyramid, awareness pyramid. The levels of political and social awareness in the Arab Spring countries have reached the preparatory and primary school pupils. They know about it. I've seen some children being interviewed on the television without any preparation, and they have seen the answer. The coming 20 years will witness dramatic social, political, economic, and geographical changes that will impact and shift the global power from where it is now to the Arab and Islamic world. The prime factor of success to this vision is investing in young people, investing in local human resources, and in building stronger civil society organizations and sectors. If you want the shift of power to come from where it is now to your own country, that's what you need to do. The point number 8, which I added, what are the principles of establishing a super state or a great state? Great state has to be strong internally and protected externally. What do you mean strong internally? Strong internally means okay, or through establishing justice, freedom, and social equality. If you would like to become strong, if my body will have a strong immune system, I have to eat the right food. I have to support my body to build the immune system from inside. So no germ, bacteria, or virus can attack them because I have got very strong mechanism inside my body. This is to be strong internally. Protect externally by the coalition and building partnership with other people to help you. I give you an example of this, which happened to us in 2001. Before 2001, we had a good relationship with a Catholic Aid for Overseas Development in UK. I met with their boss, the CEO, in a place, in a city, in a town called Gateshead in north of UK, north of England. And we talked, and he came and visited us. His name was Julian. And you know what he said? We need to be seen that we are working together. We started to build this kind of relationship, to work, to write an MOU. It took us about a year or more to agree on certain countries, to work together in certain countries and in certain projects. Okay. So this was 1997, 1998. When 2001 came, we have somebody who was supporting us, such as CAFL, in the private meeting. Many private meeting was happening at the time to talk about some Muslim charities here and there. And during these private meetings, which were not attended by Islamic Relief at the time, CAFL used to defend Islamic Relief. You know why? Because they knew CAFL. They knew Islamic Relief 4 years before actually September 11 happened. Here, my advice to you young people, don't think that because you are going to take a photograph next to a president or a queen or a king or a minister without being invited to his office, that this photograph will do something for you. No. You have to be seen that you have been vetted by the security and the intelligence of this president, so people will talk nicely about you. I'll give you another example about our registration of the office in Canada. Our lawyer was the top expert in counter-extremism, counter-radicalism, and counter-terrorism. And to go with him to meet the government in Ottawa, we prepared 2 files. One is about the project and one about the external relation. He looked at the first file. I've got water program, orphan program, widows program, and others. I said, okay. You have another one? I said, yes. I said, where? I gave him another one, which is this one. For whom we meet and whom we know. The queen, the king, the prince, the princess, the prime minister, the president, the minister, and all this. He said, this is what I want. Anybody and everybody can take some photograph for a project, but not everyone can meet a queen or a king or a president or prime minister. This is what I'm telling you. Protection from outside by making partnership and coalition, and being strong from inside by through establishing justice, freedom, and justice, freedom, justice, freedom. I say it again. Principle of establishing a great state are to be strong internally and protect externally, Stronger internally through establishing justice, freedom, and social equality. Protected externally through building global coalition to uphold the human rights of international standards uh, without being biased or having hidden agenda. Where is the state which does that? We don't know. Let us find it. Well, let us work for it. My message to you, young people, I'm not going to make a longer message because I already made a message for you before, which is it was before public diplomacy. Let the young people learn. You can see it. Let the youth learn, which I mentioned 16 point. But my message for you now to conclude is, and the story continues. I will deliver it for you next week. Not today, because the second part of this talk is next week. Next Thursday, inshallah. And the story continues. Next week, inshallah, we'll be discussing the following. Why they fight against international Muslim charitable organization and accuses them of terrorism. Message from the right holders in Syria, Yemen, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Kashmir, Afghanistan, Palestine, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ukraine, Uyghur, Rohingya. We worship idols and the gods that we have created. Who are we to be blamed? Who are to blame? Who are to be blamed? Who are to be blamed for terrorist attack? All this and the others will be discussed next week, inshallah. Sorry for what happened today of these hackers who was trying to spoil the talk, unfortunately. And I thank you very much for being patient with me today. And we'll see you next Wednesday for the Arabic talk, second part. Next Thursday for the English one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.